Hello everyone, this is the Archfiend. Yesterday I saw the movie X-Men First Class, and I gotta say, I saw the previews for this movie and I was like, this looks good. This looks really good. It was one of 3 movies that I absolutely want to see this summer, the other 2 being Harry Potter and Transformers. I know, sue me, geeky shit. Anyway, I saw this movie and I don't know, I guess I just gotta make a video about it because, boy, when I piss and moan about something, don't shy away from ever turning on my camera. And as you can probably tell, I'm going to tear this movie a new asshole because this was quite possibly one of the most disappointing movies that I got hyped up to see ever. And oh my god, if there's ever a time where I wanted my money back. Like, I mean, granted, there's movies I've seen where I was like, it's not that good, but I'll go to see it anyway. And sure enough, it's not good. But this movie, I was like, it can't be bad. All the other X-Men movies were good. I liked them all. I'm a fan of the, comic books and all that shit, so what the hell? This can't fail, right? Ooh. I don't know what movie all these people have seen that are saying this movie was so good. Now, I want to preface everything by saying I'm going to give away a lot of spoilers in this film. If you haven't seen the movie or you want to see the movie and you want, everything to be fresh, don't watch this. I'm going to tell a lot of spoilers about this movie and reveal a lot of things that happen, and that aside, turn the video off. If not, alright, let's get into it. This movie, complete and utter disappointment. That's what I would categorize it as. It didn't feel like an X-Men movie on a lot of levels. One of the levels was the storyline was based around the real-life events of the Cuban Missile Crisis. Now, none of the other X-Men movie had a storyline that was based around an actual life event. I mean, this movie went as far as to include actual video footage of JFK and the speeches that he had given during the Cuban Missile Crisis. It paralleled, a lot of the fears and phobias of everyone in American society, and I was just like, why are they doing this? Like, all the other X-Men movies are just, these fantasy situations, stuff that, didn't absolutely exist in history. I mean, some stuff paralleled and some stuff was directly, like the beginning of the X-Men Origins Wolverine movie. They obviously paralleled, Wolverine and his brother being in all the world wars and Civil War and every American war. So, this movie, though, the entire film is based on real-life events, minus the whole, people with superhuman powers, of course. I was like, I guess this can potentially work, and what the hell, it's going with it, so just let the movie go, and I did. And that wasn't one of the most disappointing things. One of the most disappointing things was the characters themselves. Now, there's basically 4 main characters in this movie. Magneto, who can control metal, and you know what, if I need to explain these things to you, then just get out from under the rock you're living in. Professor X can control minds, well, actually, Kevin Bacon's character you might not be familiar with. He played a character called Sebastian Shaw, whose ability was to be able to absorb energy and then disperse that energy at, any time he saw fit. In other words, like, if a bolt of lightning struck him, he would be able to absorb all that energy and be like, touch, and like you would just be like, poof, you just blow up from a burst of lightning. So that was pretty cool. And of course, like, there's Mystique, who is, the same Mystique, the same blue body girl who can morph herself into any person she sees fit. So, there you go. My biggest complaint, however, came in with, number 1, Kevin Bacon's character having some of the coolest abilities. I mean, that ability to absorb energy had so much potential. They could have done so much with that. In fact, about halfway into the film, they had a great scene where they have Kevin Bacon surrounded. There's a bunch of army men and CIA guys, and they start firing on him. They start, shooting rocket launchers, and he absorbs all of that, turns it in and says, you know what, screw you guys, and stomps his foot, blows up the entire room. I was like, holy shit. This character is badass. I cannot wait to see what he does by the end of this movie. We're going to get to that in a second. My main gripe is with the peripheral characters. The characters that weren't the main characters, but were these other mutants that had their abilities. rehashed, recycled, and lame. That is the summation of all these characters minus one. I'll get to that one in a second. Now, when I say rehashed, recycled, and lame, we have Dragonfly Girl, who has the ability to sprout dragonfly wings and fly. Of all the cool things and all the cool mutant abilities, we get Dragonfly Girl in this movie. Oh, well, let's not stop there, because we have Sonic Voice Guy. We have a guy that can just, you know, sprout sonic waves out of his mouth. I guess you don't really sprout, you splurt. Splurt sonic waves out of his mouth and break glass. Oh boy, what a treat, movie, thank you. As if that wasn't good enough, we have to have some sort of Cyclops type character, and we do, except this guy shoots the lasers out of his chest. Thank you, movie. We didn't see Cyclops in any of the other movies, and on top of that, his energy burst is red, just like Cyclops. It's the same character, except it comes out of his chest instead of his eyes. Wow, the creativity is just off the charts here, movie. Thank you. Thank you for this great assortment of X-Men characters. But there's a saving grace. One character, really cool abilities. A character called Darwin. His character basically adapts to whatever environment he's in to survive. In other words, if you submerged him in water, he would grow gills and be able to breathe. He basically finds a way to live, hence his name Darwin. If you shot a flamethrower at him, he'd turn into like a big piece of steel or a rock, and it wouldn't do anything to him. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. I can't wait to see what this guy... Oh, never mind, he's dead. 10 minutes into the introduction of his character, and he is dead. And on top of that, they had the whole cliche rule book out in Hollywood, and they said, okay, which one is the black character? Oh, Darwin. Oh, sorry, you died 10 minutes into the film. How much more cliche can you get than that? The only black character... I mean, I think Dragonfly Girl may have been black. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell. But, wow. Not only is it insulting that the proverbial black guy gets killed first, but he was one of the coolest peripheral characters! And he's dead! Thank you, movie! Holy shit! On top of that, the main storyline was Kevin Bacon's character, Sebastian Shaw, was trying to get America and Soviet Russia to go to nuclear war. Nuclear war! I get criticized for saying nuclear all the time, but bite me. Nuclear war! And the grand thing was, and Professor X found this out when he read Emma Frost's mind, because Emma Frost was with Sebastian Shaw on his bad guy team, and another thing that just disturbed me the entire movie is, why was Emma Frost just mentally superior to Professor X in the entire film? Like, she was, like, almost a step ahead of him every time, and she knew tips and tricks that he did, and I'm like, what the hell? Is that in the comic book? I don't remember that. Anyway, he reads her mind and finds out that Sebastian Shaw's grand plan is to have this nuclear war where everyone gets turned into mutants, and, you know, he's going to make everyone in society suffer because the radioactive waste and all that shit is going to cause a mutant society, and I'm just like, time out. Who the hell survives an all-out nuclear war? I know I said nuclear there again. Bite me. Who would survive that? Like, his grand scheme was to have everyone turn into mutants, but I'm like, they would all be dead. There would be no one left to turn into mutants. An all-out nuclear war would kill everyone. And this is the basis of the movie. Best X-Men movie ever, people. I'm going to skip over all the filler shit in the middle. We're just going to go right to the end of the movie. Oh my god. Kevin Bacon's character was responsible for killing Magneto's wife, Magneto's mother, in that concentration camp in Germany. And Magneto finally, by the end of the movie, gets his face-to-face with Sebastian Shaw, the man who killed his mother. Now, Magneto is very well aware of Shaw's ability to absorb energy and, you know, do all this shit, and, you know, his abilities as a mutant. Now, I want to ask you guys this. if you were Magneto and you got face to face with Sebastian Shaw, the man who killed your mother, what would you do? I want you to think about that for a second, people. This isn't one of those lame comment questions of the day. You don't need to type out what you would do. Just think about it. If I was going to do a lame comment question today, I would say, you know, which X-Men do you think has the largest penis? That, of course, is Emma Frost, because she was a beastly character. Just saying. Oh, by the way, Beast's makeup in this movie, like the prosthesis and the... It looked like Hermione in the movie, in the Harry Potter movie where she got turned into a cat. This version of Beast made me want to beg for Kelsey Grammer. Anyways, are you done thinking of what you would do if you were Magneto and you had, you know, Sebastian Shaw in your grasp there? What would you do? Alright, here's what Magneto did. Once he gets him in his sights, he walks up to him and punches him in the face. The entire movie is building up to this epic confrontation between Magneto and the man that killed his mother, and he punches him in the face. The one thing that would absolutely do no damage whatsoever. Best X-Men movie ever. Now, to top things off, before Magneto got in the room, Sebastian Shaw hooks himself up to a nuclear reactor. He absorbs all the energy from the nuclear reactor and basically has, you know, the ability to expel that at any point in time in the rest of the movie. That never happens. You know why? Because Magneto eventually finds out a way to kill him, and Sebastian Shaw dies. Movie, why would you tease? Why would you tease that? Why would you show that character energizing himself? And I'm like, holy shit. I saw what he did to that room earlier in the movie where he made the entire room blow up with one stomp of his foot. I was expecting him to be like, hey Magneto, how are you doing? High five! None of that. He did nothing. They literally had this in the movie for absolutely no reason whatsoever. And then Magneto just kills him, the end. And in a more hypocritical move in the movie, as if the movie wasn't bad enough at this point, there's a point in the movie where Professor X has to take over the mind of someone on one of the Russian ships, and to make a long story short, makes one of the people in the Russian ships fire a missile at another Russian ship to sink the proverbial battleship. Alright, that was a terrible cliche. Now, it's not an absolute that every single person was off that ship, though you kind of assume they are. However, you gotta wonder, boy, there was probably a lot of Russian soldiers on that ship. There's probably a lot of innocent people that Professor X just got killed. I mean, he had that guy shoot the missile at the ship, and now, granted, I know everyone's going to be like, well, Archie, if they didn't do that, the Russians and the Americans would have fired at each other, but still doesn't change the fact that Professor X got that guy to fire the missile at that Russian ship and sink that whole battleship. And there could have been hundreds of innocent lives on there. So Magneto, at the end of the movie, he decides to do that too. He takes all the armaments that are shot at them, turns them around, and points them right back at the ships, and is going to blow them all out of the water. Professor X is like, no, you can't do that. Those are just people following orders. They're innocent lives. And I'm like, you hypocritical son of a bitch. You just did it 10 minutes ago. Why can't Magneto do it? Screw them. They just fired on you. Best X-Men movie ever. Someone out there explain to me why this movie's so goddamn good. I mean, I am in the far minority on this, and I'm willing to admit that. All I know is by the end of this movie, I wanted Professor X to erase it from my memory permanently. Holy shit. I don't know. Why are people loving this movie compared to the other X-Men movies? I don't get it. I don't get it. Such is life. I'm going to go outside and mow the lawn now. I'm not actually going to do that. The neighbor next door does that. You all know that. Guess I'll just jerk off.